Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent stamping up demonstrator. Today I have a card for you that's called a planter box card. It resembles a planter box on a window here, and you can make this little mechanism to close and pop up any size you want depending on the size of the thing you're popping up. It could be a cute little animal, it could be a sentiment, it could be words, whatever you want to pop up there. I thought this would be a neat design and fun fold to do with this Boho Indigo suite that you can find on page 9 of our annual catalog, and it has the stamp set and the dies, and it comes as a product medley. So for $70 you get all of the stamp, the dies, ribbon, paper, which I'm going to show you, and some of the pop-out dies that are die cuts that are beautiful. And also, if you don't get the stamp set and you would just like to get the paper and these beautiful pop-out die cuts, you can get the refill kit for just $23. So let's take a look here. You've got the Boho Indigo stamp set, 3 great vases that have dies, the Boho Indigo dies that cut out those vases, and the 3 flowers here and the single flower. And it also has some other extraneous dies that cut out solid pieces that are embossed as well. So really pretty here. So I decided to go ahead and jazz up this card, the front of it, with a little bit of texture as I layered all the pieces on it. And that's when I used the Tasteful Textile. That's in the annual catalog, our embossing folder, Tasteful Textile. And so that's what I did to the front of that card to give it some texture. It's kind of got a little bit of a vintage look on there. Now let's take a picture of this, take a look. Let's take a look at this beautiful paper. So this paper is 48 sheets here, and it comes in these beautiful blues and like kind of a washed out navy, and look how pretty all of these patterns are. I chose this pattern on that card, but we're going to choose a different pattern on the card we're going to make. So you've got all these variations of the blues. And then let's take a look here at the other side. Really pretty. We're going to be using this pattern here on the card we're going to make. So you've got all these beautiful blue textures there. And then you get these gorgeous, we're going to look at these second, gorgeous embossed vanilla. And so you get 6 sheets of this. You've got some flowers, and you've got a neat, we used to have an embossing folder similar to this, and that's really pretty. And then these really pretty diamond patterned here. So you've got these 6 sheets of that along with the 48 sheets of the colored Night of Navy cardstock, and then designer series paper in 6x6. And then it also comes with 6 sheets of the pop out die cuts. So you can see the gold is on each of these. So you get 2 sheets of this, 2 sheets of this, and 2 sheets of the beautiful garden green. It's kind of a muted garden green with the gold in it as well, the accents in there. So I used a few of those to pop out, but there are a ton of those. When you consider you get 2 pages of each of these, there are a lot of sentiments that you can put in there and a lot of things you can do with those dies. So the first thing we're going to do is, like I said, I'm using some different patterns on here, but we're going to kind of pull it all apart. Oh, I wanted to show you this beautiful ribbon here too in the Night of Navy and that gold, and that comes in the product medley. So you can get that with the whole product medley. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is start out with our card base, and our card base is just a half sheet of our cardstock, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, and we're just going to score it at 4 1/4. So on the 8.5 inch side, we'll score it in half at 4 1/4, and then it's 5.5 this way. Now it's going to be a landscape card opening from the bottom. So what we're going to do is put our planter box in here. Now when I first made this card, I did play around with making my planter box 1 inch. And then when I went to put my vases in there, my vases were coming out over the side of the bottom of my card when I closed it. So I just popped it down to make it 3/4 of an inch. So depending on what you're doing, you can just play around with that. So to make that little box, which is the next thing we want to do, is I just took a piece of Night of Navy, and it is 5.5. Okay, and so 5.5, and then we're going to, I might as well go ahead and measure this for you so that you know, but I had put it into, so it's 5.5 by 3.5. And what you're going to do is put it into your trimmer and you're going to score it. So you're going to take the 3.5-inch side, you're going to put it up at the top here at the groove, and then you're just going to go to 1 3/4. I'm sorry, 3/4. Right before the 1, you're going to put it at 3/4 and you're going to score. And then you're going to pop it over to 1 1/2 and you'll score again. And then you'll do 2 1/4, score. Then you'll go to 3, do another score. And then when you get to 3 1/2, you're going to have this little half left over there. Now when I cut it and then I just sliced it. But you essentially make it, I am making a video in our new home, and it's the first video here, and I've got an echo, I think, and my stamp room is just a mess, so I'm trying not to, I'm not used to where I'm putting everything, so so bear with me on this one. So you have these 3/4 inch, 4 of them, and then the 1 1/2 inch there. So what we're going to do is make that box. So you just go and I just realized that my bone folder is packed away because I had it in my onstage bag. Oh, nope, there, I found it because I pulled that thing out. So you're just going to burnish these ends. So you have a nice and then here. And when you do this with your bone folder, it just gives you a crisper edge, and then it just folds a lot easier when you do it in there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put some tear and tape. I know I put it right. Tear and tape. I think I put, oh, it's like right in front of me. It's literally right in front of me. Okay, so we're going to put some tear and tape right along that scored edge on the 1/2 inch, that little 1/2 inch piece. And remember, tear and tape is so nice because all you have to do is tear it, and then we're just going to pull off that adhesive edge there, protective edge, so that we can see the adhesive. And then I'm going to just fold this over onto that edge, and I'm making my box. So there we go, and you'll see you can just play around with that box, and now you have a nice little box there that's going to go on the inside here of your card to be that pop-up mechanism. Now this is my raw edge where I put it together, so I'm going to want to hide that at the score line here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put adhesive on this side and this side. So it's going to be adhesive here and here. You can either put the adhesive right directly on here, or you can put it onto your actual box. So knowing that this is my rough edge here and I want to hide it, I'm going to just pretend like this is where it's going to be, and then I'm going to put some adhesive, the tear and tape. And the reason why I'm using tear and tape, glue works great because it's a good permanent strong adhesive, but it takes a little longer to get, dry. So that's why I'm just going to use that. So now you can see that's going to be the one that's going to go right along here. So that means I want one here. So really, as long as it's 2 of them that are touching each other, you'll figure it out. So there we go. And a little more. Today, it seems, my fingers have just been all thumbs. Everything I go to do today, I feel like I have 5 thumbs. Do you ever have one of those days? Well, I have them probably every other day. So let's get this adhesive off of here. There we go. See those little... Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and pop it off of here as well. And in a perfect world, everything would just fly right off for you easily without any difficulty, but we don't live in a perfect world, right? We don't, but we live in a great world nonetheless, huh? Okay, so now we know we have these 2 pieces with adhering on it, so you know that those are going to be on these 2 parts here. Now remember, that's my rough edge here, so I want to put that so it's hidden down along the fold line. Oop, so it's going to go this way, okay? So think of it this way. You want to, okay, let me see here. Let me get myself straightened out here. So you're going to pop that right along the score line, okay? So right along the score line, it's adhered right, you can see right there at the top of, it's at the top by the score line of the bottom portion of the card. Now this other part here, we're just going to close this, and now we could push it up and pull it, but and slap it together that way, but if you do that, you're not going to be sure that it's flat. So just flatten this down this way and fold this so that it meets the other edge. Then go ahead and burnish this. Now, if for some reason when you cut your paper it was a tiny bit off, and you have a little edge there, all you have to do is just trim that off. And I have these nice heavy scissors here, and I'm just gonna trim a little bit of the box off. Sometimes I'll be a little bit off when I'm cutting there. So now you can see that you have that box, and you can also just burnish it here, burnish it here, just so you have that nice box in there. And see, that's going to be your box, and that's the hardest part of the card. There you go. So now we're just going to do some decorating here. Now this upper portion, we're going to be putting designer paper on the top portion of the inside front, and then a little strip here and a little strip on our box. So what I did to make good use of my designer paper, let's just pretend, let's just take any piece of designer series paper here, okay? So what I did is, I'm going to show you here. It's just a 6x6, okay? I'm going to cut it at 5 1/4. So I'm going to make this side, because you're going to want to pay attention to the pattern of your paper. Like this pattern has a vertical pattern, so I wanted to keep everything going the right way on this card, whereas this pattern is very equal. What's the word? I could turn it either way, and it's going to be fine, because it's got a, I don't know what that word is. If you remember, just pop it in the comments. So we're going to cut it over to so that it's 5 1/4, and then this part on the front is going to be that's going to be our last piece. So we're going to do this inside piece, and we want it to be 3 1/4 because it's 3 1/2 right here, and so I want to bring it down to 3 1/4. So what I did is I just cut that down to 3 1/4, and you'll notice here that when you're cutting the paper, there's your 3 1/4 inch piece. And then I had another section here that's a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch. And as you can see, that's the way I cut my paper. The reason I didn't cut it on my during the video is, you know what would have happened? I would have cut it wrong. So you've just got it, your 5 1/4 by 6 inch piece. So you're going to save this little 3/4 that comes off. Now on this card, I could use this 3/4 because it actually, the pattern is, what is that word? It's totally equal. I can't think of the word. But since this one is vertical, or if you were using a horizontal pattern, like if I did it this way, I would have had to cut it so that they all go in the right direction. So just keep that in mind when you're making this. Okay, so that was, and I'll snap a little picture of that for you to put on my blog. Remember, all the measurements are over on my blog, CindyLeeBDesigns.com. Right under the YouTube description, it says visit my blog here. Press that link, it'll take you right over to my blog. You'll see some extra pictures and tips that I can tell you that I used on the card. And subscribe to my blog, because I will post usually 3 to 4 times a week, and you'll be notified when I do that. So I'm going to use some of my Stampin' Seal, and I did fill my refill up on that, and we're going to put this right up at the top of the inside front. And that again was 5 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I'm putting that right there. And then I have 2 1/2 inch sections. They're 1/2 inch high, and I've got adhesive on my fingers, and I need to get that off because it's going to be sticking to everything. So let's put some, that's why I've got it on my, there we go. Got it rolling. So I'm going to fold this open and I'm going to put this on the little box here. Dark on dark. I have to make sure I have the right amount, 1/8 of an inch the whole way around. Put that on the planter box. As you can see, that is going to be like that. And then the inside of our card is also the same size here as this top one. So it's 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to put that on. Oop. There we go. And we're going to put that on the bottom so you can write your message down there. See how it's really coming together? And then we're going to just throw on some more of our designer paper down here at the bottom. It's just such, so you're only using one sheet, 1 6x6 sheet of your designer paper to make this card. So look how cute that is. You've carried the pattern the whole way through. Now on the front of the card, as I said, I used the Tasteful Textiles, and that is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I had this piece left over from when I cut, because this was the top portion, this was the planter box, this was the bottom inside, and then this was the front. And so I'm going to put this onto this navy, but we're going to trim it a little bit before we put it onto the vanilla. Because remember, this paper was originally 5 1/4, and because we're making this to match, there we go. Oh, it's just that I had this was bigger. Okay, so we're going to be popping this over, and then we're just going to trim it off. Why is my paper a little bit... oh, because I'm bringing... yeah, this is 5 1/4, but this was 5 1/2 whenever it was in my scrap box. Yes, I have a scrap box. Get my adhesive. I want to get a lot of adhesive on here because I'm going on to an embossing folder. So here we go. Still got that glue. And I'm just going to eyeball it here and get it about the same amount on the top and on the bottom. And keep it straight there. And then I'm going to just trim off this from the back. I could use my paper snips, but these are a little stronger and I'm not getting any guck on my paper snips then. So there we go. We want to keep it, like, notice if we would have put it upside down, it wouldn't have matched the inside, and you want it to match the inside. So then that's going to go on the front of our card. We're going to put some adhesive on there. And like I said, a lot of adhesive when you're putting your embossed paper, because it has like more, it's not, you know, a solid surface. So I do tend to put more adhesive. Once again, make sure you've got your pattern going the right way. And we're going to get a nice 1/8 inch border the whole way around. Wow, vanilla just pops off that navy, so beautiful. So now you can see it's all coming together. Now these are some of the beautiful die cuts that came in that paper here. These beautiful die cuts. I'm using some of the leaves. I'm using 2 of these big flowers, and then I'm going to be using one of the labels. Now before I get all of this put together, I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and then I'm going to put this together. Okay, so I've got some fun things here. Let's get this roller out of the way, and then our card on the inside. So let's concentrate on doing our sentiment. Now this sentiment in this stamp set is kind of a fine sentiment. So instead of getting out my big ink pad, I got out one of my spots. Now you can buy some of the select spots in the back of the annual catalog, and then you can also subscribe to Paper Pumpkin and you get a spot every month. So I've got quite a collection of those. So I'm going to put in a bunch of Birthday Love to You. And I especially like using my spots for when I'm doing my Stamparatus. So there we go. We have a beautiful navy sentiment there. And then we're going to, I think we're going to pop it down a little bit to the bottom, and then we'll layer on some of these die cuts. So let's see about actually layering on this gold flower, because I want to have it so that I see the whole sentiment, but I don't see this edge here of the gold. That's just me being goofy. Got some adhesive there, so I'm going to kind of see what's, I'm going to get a little more adhesive on here. There we go. And I think I like it there. Now, one thing about the Stampin' Seal, it's definitely sticky. So I'm going to put that down a little bit on my card, and I'm going to use dimensionals, and I realize my dimensionals are right. Yes, there we go. I used to have a shelf right underneath my stamping desk, and I've kind of redesigned things, and I can't wait to do a video to show you how my stamp room looks. I think of all the stamp rooms I've had, this one is going to work out. Area-wise, I'm going to like the way everything fits in here, but it's in a loft, so that means when the hubster is watching TV, I got to tell him, turn down the TV. I don't have a quiet spot. Okay, so we're going to just put that right there on the front with some dimensionals, and I can pop a dimensional also under, well, I'm not going to do that yet because I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go. I could just let some green pop out there, but I think what I'm going to do, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to snip off a little piece of that and just pop that right underneath that flower. Yeah, when I made this one, of course, I put some of the die cuts that pop out with the gold accents, and then I layered these pretty little flowers with some linen thread and gold. But this one I decided to do a little bit different and just design on the fly. So there we go. I don't know, what do you think? I think maybe we should put a dimensional under there. So I think I will. I think I'll put a couple dimensionals. Give it a little more oomph there. So take off the back of our dimensionals. Make sure it's on the card. Okay. And then I want to get my, gosh, how can you have literally a desk that's, you know, decent small desk, but yet have, I just want to put a linen, I'm going to put a linen bow on here just because I love a double linen bow. Ask my girls at class. I'm always putting these on cards. So I'm just going to kind of make a bow. I don't know where it's going yet, but just pull back. Oh, I pulled too far. Ha! Okay. This is not working today, but I know that all of us have days like this, so I'm not stopping. I'm just going to keep on going. And then we're going to make a bow here. A linen, oh, I didn't cut this edge here. Okay, don't pull too far, Cindy. Get your two edges there. That's how I just play around with my bow. I just pull the edges, and then hold the knot in the middle, then tighten a little bit, and then pull the edges till I get the loops the size I want. Get this loop a little bit, and then just tighten it, and just play with it a little bit, and then snip off the edges. And like I said, I'm not sure exactly where that's going to go. Probably down here underneath the posy or something. But I do want to put a little flower right in the middle of here. So I'm going to take one of these cute little, they're like a felt, and then they have a neat little like wooden bead on it. So pretty. So I'm just going to pop one of these in the middle of the flower. So I'm just putting it onto my glue dot and then pop it off. And I just think they're so pretty. And that just adds some more vanilla to with the gold. Now let's see, where do you think this could go? Or maybe it doesn't even go on here. Maybe we'll put it on the inside. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Okay, so we've got something on the outside that's a little jazzy. And I think I might jazz this up a little bit with some more gold, maybe some of the gold gilded gems, which I have right here. See, there's something good about having your entire stamp room ripped up because I can kind of see everything. I could say I have an organized mess here. Oh, gosh. But that's okay. I had a really productive day in my stamp room, so I'm pretty happy about that. So I'm gonna put some of these gilded gems scattered about on my card. It's always where's the perfect placement of the third one. I don't know if I want a triangle or I want it like, I think I want to just get some here. Two. I wish you guys were here and you could just tell me where you think it should be. I'm just going to put it right there. So we've got 3 of our gilded gems on there. I love these gilded gems. I just ordered a couple more packs of those because I even like them better than the glitter gold glimmer dots. Those are just so pretty. Look at that. Ah, nice. And it has a little bit of a, has like that rustic with the bead, but yet it's got some elegance with the gold. Okay, let's get started and let's get finished, should I say, with the inside. So what I did is I took my vases and I put them in my Stamparatus and I stamped them. Now I used my Stamparatus because sometimes with these fine and new stamps, you have to get them conditioned. And so what I did is I was able to stamp my vases like 2 times. If the first time wasn't perfect, then I could stamp over it. Now, then I went and I die cut each of my vases. Now I have to tell you a little trick that I did because I stamped a few of these, and when I stamped them, and then I die cut them, I had like more vanilla on one side and not as enough on this side. Did you ever have that happen to you? So what my trick is for doing this, and I learned this years and years ago before I was a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, is if you stamp your image and then you die cut a blank piece of cardstock. Now if you put that die exactly around your image, just like that, so you can see exactly you have your enough vanilla the whole way around it. Now our older dies actually did show the white or it showed the border when you die cut, but our newer dies go right along the edge. So I was having a little bit of a learning curve on making sure that I had enough of the border around it. So if you do it this way, then you take the die and pop the die, and the die is going to automatically push itself right into that area that's open on the piece of cardstock you put on it, and it will die cut perfectly every time. So now what I did was I just kind of put that on top of my stamped image after I had a couple times that it just wasn't cutting out perfectly for me. Pop that on there. I had put a little piece of tape here, put my die in there, ran it through the Big Shot. It came out perfect. So that's a little trick if you're having trouble with a few of them. So just do that. I used to do this when I had some dies that were solid, which I couldn't understand why a die would cut something out, but you couldn't see what was under it. But there were dies made like that back in the day, and this was the workaround for it. So just if you're having trouble with it, just do that. Pop the die in there; it'll come out perfectly. So I got my vases ready. Now the thing about this card is, like I said, you do not want your vases, your foliage coming out the edge of your card. So with this one, I knew I had to put my vase and then have my flower. It can't come past the edge here. So just pay attention to where you're putting that, because you don't want to, you know, I can tell now how much has to go in there. So just make sure that when you're putting it together that you aren't having it pop out of the outside of your card. So we are going to put some adhesive on our blank one. I die cut, I stamped and die cut. Then I did a blank one. Now I know that I'm going to have this coming out of this vase. And then I'm just going to pop a blank one on so it gives it stability when I put it onto the card. And you can tell now it's going to, I'm going to be putting it to the edge of my planter box, and it's going to stay inside. And then I did this pretty vase, and I did the same thing. Put some adhesive on it. Get that later. And then I'm putting another flower on. Well, not a flower. Those are really pretty. And it's also not going to go past. This actually, to tell you the truth, it's this one that's going to give you the little test there, because it looks like this one's bigger, but it's actually, this one goes taller. And then I stuck this pretty leaf on the smallest vase. Put some adhesive on this vase here. Oh, you better put it up at the top, Cindy. And then I'll put a pretty gold accent. Oh, that's the wrong side. Okay. This is the back. This is the leaf. And then this goes on top. You have to think it through here. And then put your vase on. And now I have that stability of having this on the back. And then the leaf is going to stay in between the two pieces there. And then I can just put it onto there, because I've already tested it to know that it's going to fit in here. So now we're just going to put some tear and tape along I see that my edge is a little bit off here. Okay, let me put this a little better here. There we go. All right, we're going to turn these over. We're going to put some tear and tape along the bottom. And I'm using tear and tape because this is going to be opened up, and it's only going to be adhered on that bottom portion. So you really want to have a good I'm going to have some good adhesive there. Okay, hopefully I didn't do that too. Okay, here we go. We're going to take off that protective coating, just using my paper piercer or your take your pick tool. My take your pick tool is still stamped in my stamping bag. I socially distanced stamped with some friends during the Stampin' Up! Demonstrator on stage. We had a wonderful time looking at new products and learning some new techniques, and we just kept ourselves to ourselves. But yeah, we were in the same house, and it was just really nice. So this is our planter box here, and we're going to bring that vase down and adhere it so that it doesn't go past that, that edge there where the box is. And then I'm just going to put this one. I'm putting it like it's in the front of the card, and you can see they're not coming out of the card because why? We did our homework before. Now I could just put this one here, but I'm going to shove it. I'm going to stick it back here. There we go. Those leaves are kind of funny looking, but they come, it's interesting. They're like interesting. Okay, but look, is that cute or what? Of course, everything's sticking to my table today because my fingers are sticking at everything. So you've got this cute card here. You've taken the designer series paper and you've carried it from the inside, from the outside, and we did two different, oh, we didn't decide what we were gonna do with our little bow here. How about we stick that bow let's stick it on the big vase there. So let's get our glue dots. There we go. I should hire myself an assistant to stand here and hand me things. Ha 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 ha. So let's just pop that onto the front of that vase, and we've got a little bit of pizzazz in there. So two fun cards, a planter box card, and you're just using a half sheet of cardstock, and then you're just making a little box here. And like I said, this box could be any size you want it to be. This size was a 1-inch box. This was 3/4. I don't think you'd go really much smaller than 3/4. You could go 1/4 or up to 1.5 or 2. But on this card, I wanted it to be small so that I could have my vases put up. I guess it could have been taller, but it tends to, it just looked a little better here being 3/4 of an inch. So if you want to try it with the Boho Indigo Suite on page 9 of the annual catalog, you can use these measurements. And once again, the measurements will be on the YouTube description and also on my blog, cindyleebedesigns.com. Make sure you subscribe. Please leave a comment if you make a card like this. Send me a picture. I love to get those kinds of pictures. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Oh, hey, maybe two. Thanks a lot. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.